Last week I signed papers that made my 3 adult children cry, not tears of joy, tears of absolute shock. You see, they thought they knew their 74-year-old mother, Dorothy. They had no idea who they were dealing with. My name is Dorothy, and I've been a widow for 5 years now. After my husband passed, I thought my 3 children would be my support system. If you've listened this far, please let us know which country you're watching from in the comments. Instead, they became my biggest problem. It started small. My daughter Sarah would call every day, not to check how I was doing, but to criticize everything I did. Mum, you shouldn't be cooking so much. Mum, you can't drive at night anymore. Mum, you're forgetting things. Then my son David joined in. Every visit became an inspection. He'd check my medicine cabinet, comment on the dust on my shelves, and make notes on his phone about what I couldn't handle anymore. And my youngest Jennifer, she was the worst. She'd come over and reorganize my kitchen, throw away my belongings, and tell me I was living in the past. I watched them turning into strangers. These were the children I had raised, sacrificed for, loved unconditionally, and they were treating me like I was already dead. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. I was in my garden, something I'd been doing for 40 years, when all 3 of them showed up together. That should have been my first warning sign. Sarah cleared her throat and said, "Mom, we need to talk." They sat me down in my own living room like I was a child about to be scolded. David pulled out a folder, and said, "We've been discussing your situation and we think it's time you moved somewhere safer." Jennifer chimed in, "We found a lovely facility, Mom. They have activities, medical care, and you won't have to worry about maintaining this big house anymore." I looked at them, really looked at them, and asked, "Are you asking me or are you telling me?" Sarah's face went red. "Mom, you're being dramatic. We're trying to help you." "Help me?" I stood up and I saw them all exchange those looks, those pitying, patronizing looks. "Or help yourselves to my house." The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. That night, I sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I had fed them breakfast before school for 18 years, and I made a decision. If they wanted to treat me like I was incapable, I would show them what this incapable woman could do. You see, what my children didn't know was that I had been planning ahead long before they started their little intervention. I wasn't some helpless old woman. I was a retired bank manager who had handled finances for 35 years. I knew exactly what I was worth and exactly what I wanted to do with it. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Yes, I had a lawyer, something that would have shocked my children if they had bothered to ask about my life, instead of just assuming I was helpless. I told him exactly what I needed to do. On Friday, I invited all 3 of them for dinner. They came expecting to discuss as moving arrangements. Instead, they found me in my best dress, with a beautifully set table and their father's favorite meal prepared. After dinner, I stood up and said, "I have an announcement." Sarah smiled that fake smile and said, "Did you finally decide about the nursing home, Mom?" "Oh, I made a decision all right," I said. "I've decided to sell this house." They all started talking at once, excited about their inheritance windfall, until I continued, "I'm selling it to donate the money to charity. All of it. Every penny." The silence was deafening. David's face went white. "Mum, you can't be serious." "I'm completely serious," I said. "I'm also taking my savings, my investments, and my retirement funds. I'm using it all to buy a beautiful townhouse in Florida where I'll be living independently. Thank you very much." Jennifer started crying. "But Mom, what about us? What about our inheritance?" I looked at her calmly and said, "What about it? You wanted me in a nursing home because you thought I was incapable of making my own decisions. Well, this is my decision. I'm giving my money to people who actually need it, not to children who couldn't wait for their mother to die." The next month was chaos. They tried everything: guilt trips, angry calls, even showing up at my door with tears and apologies. But I had made my choice. I moved to my beautiful new home in Florida. I have a garden. I have friends. I volunteer at the local library, and I take painting classes. I'm living my best life at 74. My children, well, they've learned to treat me with respect. They call now to ask how I'm doing, not to tell me what I should be doing. They visit because they want to, not because they're checking up on me. And you know what the most beautiful part is? I didn't actually donate all my money. I kept enough to live comfortably and to help people who actually deserve it. But my children don't need to know that. They lost their right to know about my finances when they treated me like I was already dead. The nursing home they picked out, I drive by it sometimes when I visit friends. It's not nearly as nice as the life I built for myself. If you're watching this and you're being treated like you're too old, too weak, or too much trouble, remember Dorothy's story. Age is not a limitation. It's a liberation. You don't owe anyone your dignity, your independence, or your money just because you're getting older. Your children don't get to decide when you're done living your life. Only you do. And sometimes the best way to teach people to respect you is to show them what they'll lose if they don't. If this story resonated with you, please share it. There are too many older women being pushed aside by people who should be supporting them. We need to remind the world that we're not done yet. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gives you the strength to write your own.